thing I've come to realize is some people are just no good at one-to-one conversations.
Well, that seems to be my table you're shaking because I'm not really somebody that likes to hold or that liked to hold one-to-one conversations.
Really?
But I've also noticed that it's something that you can learn because I've gotten better at holding one-to-one conversations. So if you pay attention to the tips and the tricks, then definitely you can get better at it.
Yes, it's something you can learn. Welcome to Orators Diary, your go-to podcast for public speaking tips, tricks, speeches, and vibes. It's Funsho here.
And of course, Zainab and Funsho. And this is the third episode of Orators Diary, where we'll be talking about holding one-to-one conversations. So before we get into it, Funsho, it's been a very, very long while since I saw you actually. So how have you been?
Well, I've been great. I think getting certified has really opened my eyes to different public speaking opportunities, and it has made me more visible to people that have occasions and events and want people to help them with the public speaking aspect of it. It has really opened their eyes up to me.
Well, that's interesting to note. For me, I feel like it's not really different than before getting certified, but then there's this feeling, there's this assuredness and confidence that comes with being a certified public speaker. Even when I introduce myself, I'm like, my name is Zainab and Funsho and I'm a certified public speaker. So
I guess what you mean. Before I was a bit awkward, but now when I come out, I can easily say, good morning, I am Ahimi and Igogo, and I'm here to talk to you about this, that. I can easily say I'm a certified public speaker because I truly am. It's amazing.
Okay, so we've been having this conversation now and it hasn't seemed to get awkward. But then why do conversations get awkward?
Oof, that's a tough one. There's so many reasons why conversations get awkward. So many. It might just be because you don't really know the person you're speaking with. Therefore, you don't have any context. You've not met them before, so you don't know what to say to them. It could simply be because you guys have been talking for so long, you're just staring at each other, you don't know what to say, you've run out of topics to catch up on. Or it's simply because you don't make use of leading questions.
Okay, that's definitely correct. I would say that why conversations may get awkward is because both or all the speakers, all the participants might not have the same goals. So there's this thing that I've learned over the time that in a conversation, we basically assume that we want to achieve a common goal. But then if our goals are different, then we will not be able to converse naturally and then it will get awkward.
Yes.
Okay, now, I know of this couple that if the husband is going out and then the wife is like, where are you going? And then he says, I'm around. Like you haven't given enough context to where you're going to. You haven't given enough information, quantity of information that is required. So the wife of course feels probably annoyed, and then the husband is just, I'm around should be enough, that kind of thing. But then in such a conversation, it gets maybe not awkward, but then it gets what's that word now? There's just this feeling of resentment, basically.
Yeah.
Do you understand? So if one person in the conversation doesn't have the same goal as the other person, then conversations can get awkward.
I know what you mean. Guys, with this insecurity going on in Nigeria, I'm around is not location. Please, so know where you're going.
Actually, that's actually true. So if you're going somewhere, you need to be specific about where you're going to. Okay, I'm going down the street to meet so and so person, so that when something happens, they can definitely trace you. So I feel like another reason why conversations get awkward is because the other person might not actually be listening to you. So and then you notice, and when we notice that the other person is not listening to us, we get angry.
Yes.
Very angry because I'm like, so I've just been talking to myself. Is that what you mean? Kind of thing.
I can relate.
Yeah. So basically not listening to the other person can also make conversations get
Listen
awkward.
to your friends, guys. Please listen. Nothing kills a conversation faster than someone who doesn't listen. Please listen. So, one thing I've learned is, like you said, listen to people. How would you continue a conversation if you've not heard what the person has said? All you want to do is say what you want to say. The other person too won't be interested in what you want to say, and
one of the habits of highly effective people by Stephen Covey is seek first to understand, then be understood. So I feel like that also works in conversations. If you're talking to somebody, then you definitely want to listen to them in order to know where to lead the conversation to. So for example, I met this friend at an induction. We're going to get inducted into an organization, and then we were roommates, but then we were not conversing because I didn't like the idea of us sharing the room. There was just natural awkwardness from the onset, basically. But then as we shared the room, as time went by, we started to talk, and then in our conversation, I discovered that he was a student of Met and Math. And I'm somebody that likes to learn new things. So like Met and Math, what does that mean? So I think it was metals and material.
Wow.
Yeah, so metal and material engineering. So from there I got interested. Okay, so what does an average metal and material student do? What do they learn in class? And then he started talking, and it was quite obvious that was his passion. So he had a lot to rant about, basically. So like I was just there sitting down and listening, and it was like, oh my god, I feel like I'm boring. You're like, no, you're not boring me. So if you want to hold a conversation that is not awkward, then you should be actively interested in what the other person is saying, so that you can ask relevant questions. Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
I do. I try to understand what you're saying. You're making a great point. But there's just some people that feel like I'm just naturally not good at this, no matter how hard I try. Okay? But I have some tips for you. The first thing is to use leading questions. Ask a question that can lead to a whole conversation. Don't just ask tilted one question, but a question that can lead into more conversation. While you ask the question, the person answers, you're like, really? The person says more, wow, so how did you do it? The person goes, oh, so I did this, that, and you're like, yeah, that sounds interesting. So what did you do after that? Aside
leading, well, actually, you're not really saying much. But if you're in a conversation with me and you're not really saying much, I get turned off. So when you're asking leading questions, you also want to provide your own information in return. Yes. Okay, so what did you do last night? I say my own, and then, oh yeah, me too. Yesterday was really interesting for me because I watched the movie. There's mutual understanding that, okay, you did this, I did that, and you're willing to share information about yourself. So it makes me willing to share more as well.
Yeah, and one more thing, please. Don't jump from one conversation to the other, one topic to the other. You're like, oh, so that chair is green. Okay, my car is coming. How does that
relate?
Then the next thing you say, my car is coming. That girl's hair is not well packed. How does it relate? Don't jump. Continue the strain of the conversation. Gently lead it into other topics. Don't just jump from one thing to another.
Yeah, that actually reminds me of a particular theory in linguistics, which says that our sentences are a trail of related sentences. So it's like this sentence is leading to this sentence, and then this one is leading to the other one, so that the conversation can be coherent. It's just like in writing. If you're writing an essay, you can't just write strings of unrelated sentences, basically. So still the same, even in one-to-one conversations.
Sure.
Yeah. So I feel like also if you're meeting a new person, or even if you're not meeting a new person, if it's somebody that you've not met in a while, then shared experience is something that could provide enough context for a conversation.
Yes.
Yeah. So if we're studying the same course, for example, or we are in the same organization. So basically having something in common gives you enough context to start a conversation. For example, I met a friend yesterday, and naturally when he walked up to me, because I just wanted to walk home alone by myself, no disturbance. But then my friend walked up to me, I'm like, oh my god, now I have to actually hold a conversation. So I already envisioned that the conversation was going to go wrong because I was not interested.
Yeah.
But then he started, and I'm like, okay, let's see how this goes. Then I remember that we wanted to plan something together during the course of the semester, during the course of the month. And then I said, oh, so how has that been? How has planning been? What's the next step? And then he started talking about his challenges in terms of planning, and it was like room for him to just rant. So it was like he had already been looking for somebody to complain to, and I was that, that person. And then it felt good for me to just listening to him and understanding that, okay, this was why this did not work out. So at the end of the day, when we ended the conversation, it ended on a very nice note. It wasn't so bad of a conversation. And then I said to myself, oh, this really wasn't so bad like I thought it would be. So there's not so much that should be done in terms of holding up a conversation, especially if you have shared experience. So you could just, rely on shared experience and keep the conversation going.
Yeah. Please don't underestimate the power of context, guys. Context is powerful, especially sometimes when you're around new people and they're like, wow, what are they talking about? Because you just joined into a conversation, you're already talking. They are confused. Why? Because you guys already have context. That's why you can just walk up to someone and continue a conversation, and they're like, is that how you start a conversation? Some people are like, is that how you start a conversation? They don't realize that the conversation has already been
started before now. Exactly. So in terms of having shared experience, that's where you now actively have to make contact with the person. When you've met this person initially and you didn't try to make any contact, you meet the person again, you didn't try to make any contact again and again, no conversation would ever hold successfully. Do you understand? Because we've met in a series of places, but then we didn't make any kind of contact.
Yes.
Unless you want to start your conversation based on where you've met anyways. But then to just be nicer and easier for you if you had made contact with them initially.
Okay, when it comes to meeting new people, sometimes it might be just one person, or it might be a group of people. Observe them, study them before you just walk up to the person or the people. Look at get to know their vibe, be familiar with their vibe. Is this person soft spoken and kind of quiet? Or is this person loud and rowdy? Does this person love using slangs? Is it Nigerian? Are they Nigerian slangs? Maybe American slangs? How does this person speak? You walk up to them and you match their energy.
Amazing. I feel like in line with that, similarly, you should also find like interests. So if a person is talking and then you find something that resonates with you, you could just pick on that and be like, oh, amazing, I did that too. For example, I was having a conversation with someone some time back, I can't remember clearly, but then I got to know that he also designs his clothes. Like, he doesn't sew, but he designs his clothes and then the tailor makes them. And then I was like, oh my god, I design too. So that started a whole new conversation, and that was like a new connection for me and that person.
Wow.
Do you get? Because I design, you design, we have something in common, we have an interest, and then we totally want to see how maybe we could collaborate or just take it further from there.
Okay. I'm sure you guys want like constructive tips, like tips that give you exactly what to say. Sometimes you feel like, no, you're not getting to the nitty-gritty of it. I want exactly what to say. Tell me what to say. So one thing, for example, if it's just one person sitting down, look at the environment. What do you think might be affecting that person in the environment? Maybe the weather is extremely hot. Everyone over there is sweating. Just walk up to this person and be like, this Nigerian NEPA did was dirty, no light. And the person's like, yes, you've been sweating since morning. You get into it. Before you know, you guys might launch into a conversation about Nigeria.
Yeah, so apart from also taking note of context or where you are, you should also be an active listener. I enjoy someone who actively listens to me, because I want to make sure that you're hearing me, you're understanding me. And then I also want to actively listen to you, because I don't like it when people don't listen to me. So I want to listen to you. So be an active listener. Make people understand that it's just make people feel good about you. And then being a conversationalist also means that you're a wide reader. So if you don't read to some extent, if you don't know some things that some people are talking about, you may not be able to contribute. For example, if they're talking about Nigeria, what's happening on the Nigerian news, for example, you might not necessarily be able to contribute because you've not taken time to read about it. So basically,
I made some friends about a year ago. How did I do that? They were talking about history, sound of music, the Second World War and all that. And after a while, I just chimed in. And before you know it, I was pulled into their conversation. Of
course, because you had a lot of contents that they were possibly looking for.
Yes, and now we're close friends. So please listen, guys, learn, read. It will really help you.
Yeah, so that is the end of today's episode. This podcast is brought to you by ABC Speak Academy.